Good morning, Professor Zoengpari, madam. Namaskar. Dear participants, for today's second session, that is 26th session in this webinar, we are having Professor Zoengpari with us. She is head Department of Psychology in Mizoram University. She is a senior faculty member. She is member of many of the committees. She has authored more than 35 papers in different research journals, more than 50 presentations and seminars she has attended. Then she has completed 11 projects so far. She is a very active person and expert in the field of clinical psychology and some more. So today she is going to talk about mental health of teachers, mental health of students, and mental health of all stakeholders, which is very, very important. This is a mandatory topic for our refresher course to talk about mental health in the workplace. So, madam, now time is yours. You may start, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. Professor Bartendu Singh, thank you for inviting me to talk about the very important topic of mental health. And as Professor Bartendu has just said, this is a very, very important topic and a very which could be applied at the personal level in the workplace and also at home and in the community. So, shall I
Yes, yes, ma'am.
start?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam.
Okay, thank you. So as you can see from the slide, we are going to talk about mental health in the workplace. And this is specifically, I have chosen this in the workplace because every year the World Federation for Mental Health and the WHO uh, puts up a theme for the celebration or the commemoration of World Mental Health Day, which falls on the 10th of October every year. So every year there's a new theme, and the theme for today is, for this year, sorry, is mental health in the workplace. So we will first talk about a brief, just 1 or 2 slides on what mental health actually is, and then concentrate or emphasize, talk in detail about mental health in the workplace. And the last part of the talk will be based on how you can be mentally healthy as an individual, as a person. So that will be the content of the talk today. And since it's for a 2 hour, it's a 2 hour session, I think there will be about 15 or 20 minutes for the discussion. So all of you can share, write in the Q&A or in the chat box.
Madam,
So
sorry to interrupt, madam. 1.5 hour.
yeah, 1.5 hour.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. So now it's 11:30.
Yes,
So
up
yeah,
to one. Up to one.
11:37, 7 minutes. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So first of all, we will talk about the basic definition or the layperson's definition of mental health. As you can see, I'll just read this out. Mental health is an integral and essential component of health. Many people think and feel and say that if you have physical health, that is good health. But we all know for a fact that just physical health does not uh, make you a whole person or does not make you a healthy person. So you need to have physical health as well as mental health. The definition which has been given by WHO for mental health is, I will read this out, uh, state of well-being in which an individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, and can work productively and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. So I will just briefly talk about this particular aspect of the definition given by WHO. State of well-being. When you say well-being, what does that mean? Feeling good about yourself, feeling good, happy, feeling energetic, feeling like getting up in the morning or looking forward to a Monday morning on a Friday evening. So when you say well-being, you're not just talking about the physical aspect or the physical part, but as well as the mental part. That is the thoughts, feelings, emotions, and behavior. When you say thoughts, feelings, emotions, those thoughts, feelings, and emotions always reflect or are always manifested by the behavior. If you're not feeling too good, then obviously you will not be very energetic, you will not smile or be happy, feel happy, etc., etc. State of well being. And besides the state of feeling well-being, the state of well-being, you also, uh, in order to be in the state of well-being, you also need to be able to recognize, be able to appreciate, be capable of realizing your own abilities. Say, for example, if you are very, very overly ambitious and you don't have the abilities, neither do you have the potential, neither do you have the situation in which those abilities or capabilities can be manifested. So you have to realize what are your abilities, how much you can do, what you cannot do, what are the potentialities, and so on and so forth. And last but not the least is what is doable. And then you come to the coping with the normal stresses of life. Coping with the normal stresses of life. First, if any one of you amongst the participants say or think that, oh, I don't have any stress at all, I'm stress free, there is stress. Then, as a psychologist, I would say you have to reflect. How are you able to say that? So, normal stresses of life, getting up in the morning to go to work, okay, uh, wherever life, and work. This may not be possible day in, day out, 24/7. But at the same time, whatever work that you're doing, even if you're a student, you're a small child, whatever is your developmental stage or age, whatever is there in front of you, are you able to work and is able to make a contribution to his, her community? This is very, very important as because we in India, South Asia, and eastern part of the continent or the world, so to say, on a larger perspective, we are collectivists in our culture. Collectivist means no man is an island mentality or mindset. That is what we follow and that is who we are. In the West, it's mainly individualistic culture or individualistic society, where it's just a me, I setup or situation. So, for you and I, belonging to the collectivist culture society, this is an integral part of our life, of our community, of our society. So, be it a donation, be it buying a lucky ticket for some charity, and so on and so forth, whatever, or just maybe in some instance, prayer, offering a prayer for some charity or some cause, etc., etc. So, any contribution is what we are talking about. Not for yourself. It's for me, myself, I. But for other people. It may be your relatives, it may be people, your neighbors, it may be other people in the community, in the state, or in your place of work. So that's the definition of mental health by WHO. So if a person has all these characteristics, is able to at least have bits and pieces here and there of all these abilities, capacities, and uh, of these characteristics that have been given by WHO as definition of mental health, then you can say, oh, I think to a certain extent I'm mentally healthy, or I'm a mentally healthy person. But as we all know, life is not a bed of roses. So there can be good days, there can be not so good days, there can be horrible days. But horrible days may, in the afternoon, if it's a horrible morning, then in the afternoon it may become a better day, etc., etc. So it doesn't stay on forever, goes on and on and on. Sometimes it may go for a couple of days, for a week, or for a month, whatever, but it doesn't go for. us need that. So we need to balance, see if the life stresses are making you unable to work, unable to do anything, don't feel like getting up in the morning, and so on and so forth, for a certain period of time, for a certain length of time with high intensity, then probably one needs to go and meet a mental health professional. But otherwise, normal stressors, we're able to deal with them, we're able to face them, and not make, and it doesn't affect much of our routine work or our lives. So another definition of mental health is there in the next slide. I'll read this one out again. Mental health may be defined as the degree of adjustment of the individuals to themselves and the world at large with maximum effectiveness, satisfaction, cheerfulness, and socially considerate behavior, using their abilities for facing and accepting of life to the maximum possible. Okay, so as I said earlier, this is not always possible every time 24/7, but if it is possible for a certain period of time or at certain times of the day, of the week, of the month, then it's fine. You don't need to go and see a mental health professional. But there, if it is of high intensity and the duration, the time span is more, then you probably need to do so. So learning how to balance, learning how to uh, harmonize, and learning how to deal with the challenges, the issues and challenges of life is the key to having good mental health. So next we will briefly talk about the work, since the topic for today is mental health in the workplace. So what is work? Work, as we all know, provides livelihood and can be a source of meaning, purpose, and joy. However, for many people, work falls short of its potential, failing to enhance our lives and detracting from our mental health. And as according to the WHO, employed adults spend more time working than any other activity during their waking hour. This is true. So we know that as adults who work, and that work provides a livelihood for ourselves and for our families, for our near and dear ones. If the workplace was very healthy, if the people in the workplace are mentally healthy, if you are a mentally healthy person, then the workplace would be a place where you can have and reach your full potential. But as we all know, that may not be true in many situations, in many workplaces. And as I was just saying, a mentally healthy workplace fosters self-worth, purpose, and fulfillment. And this is indicated by the health, happiness, wellness, economy analysis. As you may be aware, now today, the economic index or the measurement of a country with regards to development, a developed country, developing country, underdeveloped country, the index is has changed. Another factor that has been added on is the happiness factor or the well-being factor. So now economists, scientists, experts know for a fact that it's not just that you are able to earn so much money, provide for your family, be able to buy what you want, etc., etc. But happiness, being satisfied with life, well-being, and mental health is a very, very important aspect of that index today. So, keeping that in mind, world leaders and people all over the world are starting to realize today that it's not just about economy, it's not just about earning lots of money, having the highest GDP, etc., etc., but it's also about how happy the people are. What is the people of the country of that country are happy, the people of that country have well-being, are mentally healthy, and so on and so forth. So that is another factor. And data research that has been emphasized on, many new researchers are emerging day in and day out now with regards on the issue, on the challenges of mental health, and specifically for mental health in the workplace. We know that big companies and big industries now today are placing importance, are emphasizing on the mental health of their staff, of the people who are working. And when we talk about mental health, we immediately tend to think that uh, if a person does not have one of the major mental disorders or diseases, say, for example, the major ones, and I'm giving as examples, are mental illnesses, disorders like depression, schizophrenia, bipolar disorders, anxiety disorders, and so on. There are n number of mental illnesses and disorders. So many people tend to think that if I don't have, or if one doesn't have depression, anxiety, or one of the major mental illnesses or disorders, then I am mentally healthy. But that may not be so. We talk about so many other issues and challenges, psychological distress, psychological issues and challenges, which are not major illnesses, mental illnesses or disorders. Say, for example, interpersonal relationship issues, intrapersonal or intra issues. Say, for example, I have low self-esteem, I don't have confidence, I'm not able to make friends, I don't have any friends, and so on and so forth. And also interpersonal relationships like girlfriend by boyfriend issues, challenges, spouse, marital problems, problems with in-laws, problems with other family members, and so on and so forth. Then you also have issues of financial security, financial loss. Then you also have issues of some kind of disaster. It may be man-made disaster, uh, natural disasters, and so on, sudden loss of job, sudden death in the family, illness, disease, and so on. So all those do not fall in the category of mental disorders or illnesses, but those are issues that you and I, who are not in that other category, fall into. So with specifics or in specific, mental health in the workplace, where you're not having problems with the boss, you're not able to relate with your co-workers, with your colleagues. You're not able, if you are a teacher, and since this is a refresher course, all of you are teachers. So obviously, your relationship with your students, with the staff in your department, with the dean, with the VC, with the HOD, and so on and so forth. So all those are issues and challenges that we will be try to talk briefly, and then also at the end talk about how to be a mentally healthy person. Things which you do every day anyway, but you are not doing it consciously. So that may be a challenge that you need to address at a certain point of time. So coming back to this slide, as we said, depression, anxiety, etc., the major mental illnesses and diseases are something which has to be addressed, which has to be treated. Consultation has to be done with mental health professionals. But the issues and challenges that I talked about, interpersonal issues, challenges, intra-personal issues and challenges, workplace issues, financial issues, all those is what we will address, talk about in specifics today. As I said at the start of my session, this year, the World Mental Health Day theme, and the World Mental Health Day falls on the 10th of October every year. So the theme is, it is time to prioritize mental health in the workplace. And this issue or mental health in the workplace has not been addressed much over the years. There has been priority given to other aspects, but people are slowly starting to realize that the economy of a country, the GDP of a country, to a very large extent depends on the mental health of the workforce. And that is directly, indirectly affected by the mental health of the people working in the uh, institutions, in the industries, and so on and so forth. And now, according to the WHO, 60% of the global population is in employment, and employees spend 60% of their time in the workplace. So you may be thinking, or many people are starting to realize, oh my God, if this is the statistics, then the emphasis or the theme of this year, 2024, is something which we should have addressed years ago. But anyway, it's never too late. So this is the World Mental Health Day theme for 2024. So we will go a little bit into specifics on what is mental ill health at the workplace. So we've been talking about mental health at the workplace as an introduction, and then we will talk about mental ill health at the workplace. Here, as I said earlier, we're not talking about the diseases or the illness, the major ones. Okay, has to do with the psychological distress aspects. Literature review in 2003, and there are many other later research findings, but this is more or less similar to the later research studies that have been conducted. So the key work factors that are associated with mental ill health in the workplace are long working hours, work overload and pressure, lack of control, lack of participation in decision making, poor social support, and unclear management and work role. So I just briefly now we talk about all these key work factors. Long working hours, I don't think I have to uh, elaborate or talk about it. We all know what long working hours are. And the second one, work overload and pressure. We are all very much aware of this. Then the third one, lack of control. Here again, if I am an assistant professor in the department in an institution, then obviously I don't have any much control except maybe over the students and so on. So we all are very much aware of that. We don't have lack of control. Even the vice chancellor of an institution in our context is answerable to the higher authorities. Then lack of participation in decision making. Obviously, as an assistant professor or as an associate or even as a professor in a department, the hierarchy is such that we are answerable and we are not so much a part of the decision making. But in the university setup, we do have the departmental research committee relating to research and other research work. Then you have the BOS, then you have the school board, you have the executive academic council, then you have the executive council. But we are all very much aware that there is a certain the setup is so established that it's difficult to bring about or to present uh, issues and challenges which you may feel as a burning issue. But at the same time, I'm not saying that you don't have any avenues to for airing your issues and challenges, but we are very much aware that we have less participation in the final decision making or social support. Here we're talking about the working environment, the situation in departments. And also in the institution in general. Then you're also talking about social support in the context of family, friends, society, community, and so on and so forth. The family in particular, your workplace, colleagues, the people that you work with, and so on, and unclear management and work role. Here again, this is a very, very important factor in many areas of work. But in the institution and many other setups, there is a very clear-cut management and work role, job description, to be more precise, what you're supposed to do, what is expected of you, and so on and so forth. But there are many workplaces where there is unclear management and work role. Then the next slide tells us the most common mental health issues in the workplace, common ones. So those are, I've given 5 bullet points. The first one is stigma and discrimination. This in the context of India, not so much maybe in Mizoram, but in other parts of the country, and specifically not just in India, but this is present everywhere in the world, stigma and discrimination, uh, even in a culture where there is no social class. So stigma discrimination can be because of a physical disability, because of some physical challenges, because of economic status, because of background, because of family, and so on and so forth. And or maybe because of some substance use issues and challenges, and so many other factors can be there. So stigma and discrimination. We all know in the university setup, you have the anti-ragging, you have the harassment cell, and so on and so forth. So stigma, discrimination could be, all those could be manifestations of stigma and discrimination. Then demand, control, effort, reward relationships. So this is another factor. If in the university setup, in the institutional setup, also you have this uh, issues, the demand from the HOD or from a senior colleague. Then you have control effort, which may be between, even between your fellow assistant professors or fellow people that you work with, reward relationships. And this may be in the context of uh, so many other aspects of the university institutional setup. Then you have job burnout. All of us, I'm sure, are very familiar with this job burnout. Then you have harassment, violence, bullying, and mobbing. Mobbing in this particular the definition for mobbing, I have put in brackets, hostile and unethical communication, which is directed in a systematic way by one or a number of persons, mainly towards one individual, right? So that is mobbing. We all know what harassment is. We all know what violence, bullying. Okay, so those are some of the mental health issues in the workplace and problematic substance use. Sorry, it should be, E is missing here. So anyway, so these are some of the mental health workplace issues that affect mental health. So you may say, oh, these are small things. These are some things which can just be brushed off your coat or etc., etc. But that is not so. If you are a victim or if you are the person, the receiving end of stigma discrimination, be it of a high level, high degree, even uh, demand, control, effort, reward relationships, job burnout, harassment also. It may, some people may say, oh, this is, you have to take it with a pinch of salt kind of attitude. But for some people who are sensitive, all of us are unique people. So if you are a person with low self-esteem or not much confidence, if you're a sensitive person, even a small degree of harassment or bullying or mobbing may be very hurtful, and that may affect, or that may be a very big issue for you. Whereas that same kind of bullying or harassment that is faced by another colleague or another person that you work with may just take it with a pinch of salt. So it's individual differences obviously are there, and you cannot just say, oh, this is something that comes with this kind of work, or this is something that happens to all of us, etc., etc. Okay, then problematic substance use. Obviously, drug use, substance, any kind of substance use. It may be alcohol, it may be this, it may be that. So those are workplace issues that can affect your mental health in the mental health. And then the next is the question, the $1 million question, so to say. Why is mental health important in human resource development or in HR? Mental health illnesses are classed as disabilities because they seriously impact an employee's capacity to do a job they are well capable of carrying out. So, mental health illnesses, the disorders that I briefly talked about earlier, like the major diseases and disorders like schizophrenia, bipolar, anxiety, depression, etc., etc. All those are classed as disabilities according to the categorization of DSM, Diagnostic Statistical Manual, and the ICD, and the categorizing bodies or agencies which are accepted by all the health professionals, not just the physical health professionals, but the mental health professionals. So mental health illnesses such as those are classed as disabilities because they seriously impact. But at the same time, apart from those serious mental health disorders or diseases, the classes of mental illnesses or mental issues and challenges that we talked about, stigma, discrimination, bullying, harassment, all those also have a very serious impact and are major impediments to the employee's capacity to do a job they are well capable of carrying out. Say, for example, if there is a lot of bullying, there is a lot of harassment in your place of work, you are obviously not suffering. If you are able to go to work, then obviously you're not having schizophrenia or bipolar or depression. But since you're facing those workplace issues, mental health issues, then that may interfere or that may be making you not be able to do a job well, and you not being able to carry out your responsibilities and do your job at the right time, at the to the extent that you are capable of. So, as we all know, and at the end of the day, it's the company, it's the institution which loses out, not just you. Because if you're a permanent employee, then you will get paid until and unless there is some specific reason or you have some mental disability and so on and so forth. And the loser at the end of the day will be the institution, the company that you work for, and so on and so forth. So mental health in human resource is very, very important. So we already talked about this, but I just wanted to go back, emphasize on the psychological effects that emerge as most prominent manifestations of people working or experiencing work-related stressors are depression, anxiety, loss of concentration. Okay, so depression may not be the clinically diagnosed. The depression that we're talking about may not be the clinical depression which has been diagnosed by mental health professionals. Here, when you talk about anxiety also, it may not be the clinical anxiety which has been diagnosed by mental health professionals. But we do have symptoms of depression. We all know what symptoms of depression are. We all know what symptoms of anxiety are. We all know what, obviously, loss of concentration. So even though you may not be diagnosed, or it may not be a diagnosis of clinical depression, but you do experience fatigue, sadness, hopelessness, and so on and so forth. It will be, or it may be diagnosed as clinical depression based on certain criteria. That is, high intensity for at least 2, 3 weeks or maybe a month of feeling hopeless, feeling sad, not feeling like getting up in the morning, etc., etc. Then obviously you have to go and meet a mental health professionals. But before that, if the intensity is not as high, you do experience. You're not happy every day in and day out, right? If you say that I've never been anxious in my life, then you obviously have to look again at yourself, because anxiety, sadness, feeling not feeling like getting up in the morning, etc., etc., are all symptoms, are all emotions, feelings, thoughts that we experience depending on the situation, depending on the context to a certain extent. Loss of concentration. If you're 60 plus, then obviously there will be a little bit of issues and challenges regarding concentration. Then uh, we know. So why do we need to address mental health in the workplace? Because we know that if an individual or if a person has good mental health, then obviously at the end of the day, the beneficiary will be the institution, will be the place that you work, the organization, the country, on a larger aspect or perspective. Productivity increases, absenteeism decreases, and total medical cost decreases, obviously. So these are the plus points of receiving proper mental health care or mental health be addressed by the people in the institutions, by the authorities for that matter, or the bosses of the company, and so on and so forth. And having a healthy workplace, a workforce that shows up to work in a good frame of mind, ready to work, benefits everyone. All of us know this for a fact, right? If you're not getting along with your colleagues at work, then obviously on a Friday evening after work, you have 2 days off, not going to work. But from Friday evening, you start thinking and you start having negative thoughts about going to work on a Monday, even though it's after 2 days of rest, being with the family, being with loved ones, and so on. So that kind of mindset. So if it's a healthy workplace, if there is mental health in your work, amongst the people at work, then people will have or work in a good frame of mind and be ready to work hard to their full potential, which will benefit everyone, not just the people in the workplace, in the workforce, but also on a larger. So next slide is what the law says. I think I just have one slide with regards to what the law says. So it's just a general uh, idea or general picture of what the law says about mental health. So, wide range of legal rights that protect our mental health at work. We all know what these are. Like in many countries, you have the trade unions, and in the India context also, we have a lot of trade unions. And specifically in West Bengal, we know that the trade unions had a large role to play in many of the issues and challenges that have kept West Bengal, the development sector in West Bengal, not being able to reach its full potential. And that may be the same scenario in many other parts of the country and also of the world. But here specifically, when we talk about what the law says about mental health, legal rights that protect our mental health at work. And this range from the basic human rights such as to freedom of expression, freedom for association, to the health and safety legislation that keeps us safe from hazards, including psychological hazards. When we talk about workplace hazards, say people working in the construction sites, they're supposed to wear hats. But in many places in developing countries and underdeveloped countries, these are not given priority. They're not, people are not aware of their basic rights, health and safety rights, and also the psychological hazards like bullying, harassment, mobbing, and many other stigma, discrimination that can happen in the workplace, which are not visible, uh, which may not be visible, but which are there. And those are the psychological hazards that may be there. Then the next slide is, why don't people talk about mental health? We all know it's been a taboo subject, and that's not just in all the cultures of the world, but now in the West and in other developing countries, and also in the East, and to a certain extent, India. People are starting to come out and mental health issues and challenges, mental health in general is being brought out in the open. People have openly started talking about issues and challenges of mental health. So there was a lot of stigma earlier. It was a taboo subject. If you had some mental health issues, then you were so embarrassed, you were so shamed, you did not want to talk about it or share it with other people. And mental health issues and challenges are issues and challenges which needs to be talked about, which has to be brought to the open so that other people around can help, other people can do something about it, and you can get support from people around you also. Because if you keep it hidden, if you are not willing to bring it out, talk about it with people around or consult mental health professionals, then at the end of the day, it will develop into more serious issues, and then it's very, very difficult. If you are able to talk about it at the start or when it's still not very prominent or it's not causing so much of a problem to you in your personal life, that And if you just keep quiet about it, if you try to hide it, if you don't talk about it, if you don't address it, then it may develop into a more serious mental health issue or challenge. And we all know that when you talk about physical health, so say, for example, a person is diagnosed with cancer. So it's not that people go and shout it from the rooftops, oh, I have cancer, and people have pity, sympathy, feel sorry for that person, etc., etc. But if a person has, say, for example, depression or any of the other mental illnesses or disorders, or having relationship issues, a divorce, a separation, etc., etc., then obviously we try to keep it hidden. We don't talk about it. We are ashamed, embarrassed. We don't, etc., etc. We all know what the feelings, the thoughts, feelings, and emotions that we experience. So, because we're afraid of the discrimination, the stigma, and people making fun of us, and so on and so forth. So, we try to keep our feelings hidden, try to keep the issues and challenges hidden because they are afraid of other people. So we don't talk about it. But now people, if an individual has some mental health issues, psychological distress, maybe interpersonal, marital problems, say, for example, financial problem, then people are more, no longer hesitant. They go and see people, counselors, psychologists, therapists, and so on and so forth. They attend classes, they attend group therapies, and so on. And talking about it, as we all know, when you say therapy, you say counseling, we're talking about not medical treatment or medical interventions. It's more to do with talking. It's more to do with someone being there to listen to you, someone who gives you the ear, 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 who listens to your issues and problems and does not give advice, because counseling is not advice, therapy is not advice, but discusses, talks with you, listens to what you have to say, and then discusses the problems and the issues and the options that may be available, what you can do by yourself at your end. And at the end of the day, it's you who makes the decision. Oh, I have this issue, I have this problem. So, what are the options that I have? If a person is feeling very distressed, is feeling very sad, has some issues and challenges, then if he or she keeps it to himself and not talk about it to anyone, then that poor person will be that state will develop into more serious issues. So those are some of the examples. Then the fear of discrimination, this we already talked about. So those are some of the things. And you may say at your end, oh, how can I talk about this, my problem, my marital problem, or my work problem, or my financial issues to a stranger? But it has been found, tried and tested time and time again through research, through experience, that it helps to air out, it helps to talk to other people about those issues. But you need to talk to people, professional people who are professional in that particular field. You cannot just go and shout it from the rooftops, tell it to anyone who would listen, kind of situation, because the issues, the ethical issues such as confidentiality, respect, dignity, and so on and so forth, the final decision making may not be maintained. So you have to consult, or you have to be careful about who you talk to about your issues and challenges. Also, at the same time, the ethical considerations are very have to be maintained. And at the end of the day, when we create workplace cultures where people can be themselves, it is easier for people to talk about mental health concerns without fear, and easier for them to reach out for help when they need it. And it is vital that workplaces become environments where people feel safe to be themselves. This is a very, very important, difficult, as we all know, coming from different places of work, different cultures, different setups, and so on. But we as teachers, we as people in the academic, so to say, we also face a lot of similar issues and challenges. It may be if you're a junior person, if you are the head of the department, if you are a dean, if you are the so on and so forth. So the issues and challenges may be more or less similar. But then there are maybe a lot of differences depending on the culture, depending on which part of the country you're working, and so on and so forth. Anyway, we know that if the workplaces become healthy, then people feel safe to be themselves. So we're able to reach our potential. We're able to enjoy going to work. On a Friday evening, you're looking forward very much to Monday morning and going back to your place of work. That mindset, that situation is so much more preferable when on Friday evening you dread, when you think about Monday morning, going back to Monday morning, you really dread going. So the whole of your weekend is spoiled because of that mindset, because of that thinking, thought, feeling, and emotion. So the WHO and other agencies who are studying, and many people who have done research in this area, mental health in the workplace, have come up with the workplace action plans. So what can be done in the workplace so that the mental health of the people, of the people working in institutions, in organizations, etc., can be improved. So the first uh, action plan, or the first uh, roadmap, so to say, is to address the social determinants of mental health, such as living standards and working conditions. This can be easily done in developed countries where there is the GDP is higher. Then you have, as we all know, people from economics and management are very much aware. So in a country like India, we cannot just suddenly at the drop of a hat improve the living standards and working conditions. There are a lot of legwork, a lot of work has to be done so that the living standards or the lives of people will be improved. So, but that is one aspect of mental health in the workplace. Then the second is activities for prevention and promotion of health and mental health, including activities to reduce stigmatization and discrimination. This is doable at our as academicians, as people working in academia, in institutions, activities for prevention and promotion of health and mental health. So this is something which is doable, which we can all do, right? So it may be small things, start small and then end, but it's not starting with a big bang and ending with a fist, kind of something which is doable, which is acceptable, which gives respect, dignity to people working in a certain place, in an institution, in your department for that matter. Like I am from the Department of Psychology. So, and when people talk about psychology, they say psycho. This term psycho has a negative connotation already. So people from psychology department are psycho. If people say so, then immediately that gives some indication, some stigma, discrimination already is there. So what do we do as people from the Department of Psychology? We maybe organize activities, or we do things, or we try to have trainings, workshops, etc., so that the people who are working in the department or the workforce are aware of what are the challenges, what are the issues that people are facing. Say, for example, in our department, what we are doing as a tradition is we have the department has a kitty fund, so to say, that we collect at the beginning of the year, and uh, all the people in the department, be it an MTS, be it the HOD, be it the junior assistant professor, whatever, birthdays, we always buy a birthday cake, and then we have a 5 or 10 minutes of cutting of the cake, singing happy birthday, and so on. And so that has become a tradition. So that makes the people in the department feel empowered, included, inclusive, even though you may not like the colleague, your colleague, or you may not be very fond of a office staff or anyone in the department. At least that brings us together for that short period of time and makes us realize that we are part of a the department, members of the department, and so on and so forth. So those are some of the activities that can be done, which does not need funding from any external source, but which gives us inclusivity, which makes us feel part of the department, and so on and so forth. So there are many things, innovative ideas, things, activities that can be done at the department level in our context. Then the third action that can be taken is increasing access to evidence-based care through health services development, including access to occupational health services. This has to be done at the level of the administration, maybe the VC, etc., etc. So all this can be done, but then the push, the motivation, or the action plan could be made by the people in the workplace. This is also again doable because it has to do with policy and administration. So to go into more specifics, as a teacher, since all of us are from the academia, it is important for a teacher to possess sound mental health because it is the duty of the teacher to mold coming generations in an effective way. We are all, the students at the university and colleges are young adults, no longer adolescents, but we all know that the developmental, looking at the psychological developmental period stages, what is the mindset, what is the mental development of young adults and late adolescents. So that is a very, very important time of life in their lives where they may be deciding on a career, what to study, how to move on further, whether to get married, whether to, etc., etc. A lot of milestones are facing the students at this point of time when we are in charge of them, when they are our students. So we have to, in order to be able to be a mentor, to be a good mentor, to be able to guide the students, to be able to help the students in many ways, not just in academics, but also in many other aspects of their lives, so that they become wholesome, holistic, mentally healthy individuals. So, in order to do that, we as teachers, we as mentors have to be mentally healthy. Otherwise, if I as a teacher if I as a mentor is not mentally healthy, then I will not be able to lead, guide, teach, motivate students or anyone else for that matter. So we have to, and we will be talking about how to have sound mental health in the later part of this session. So in order, so the relationship between the teachers, between the mentors and the students, and also the improving teacher-teacher relations, the relationship, the situation, the environment of your department, of your institution, and so on. This depends very much on the cooperation of teachers. All of us, if you are not career-oriented, if you are more happy-go-lucky type of person who's just able to, who just says, chalta hai, attitude, happy-go-lucky type of lifestyle or mindset, then this may not be very helpful, or it may be helpful to many other people in your department or in your institution. But this is very, very important part. You cannot be pally-pally, you cannot be good friends with each and every one of your colleagues. There may be some people you like, some people you cannot, you don't feel like meeting or talking to, and so on. We all know what those may be, right? But at least the cooperation to be, to respect, to at least maintain cordial relationship with people in your department, people that you work with. That goes a long way. You may not be invite them for dinner to your house on your birthdays or anniversaries, etc., etc. But this in the workplace, you can have cordial relationship where mutual respect is maintained between the people you are working with. So these are some uh, ways, some activities that can be done at your end, at the departmental level in our context, at the university level, at the college level, and any other workplace for that matter. So access to professional counseling services, this may not be there in the institution, your place of work, but this there can be references, I'm sure, in the state or in the city or in the town that where your institution is based, there are professional counseling services available. So getting in contact with those services that are available in your city, in your town, or maybe even in your institution. Like, for example, in Mizoram University, we have the Mizoram University Counseling Cell, which is located at the Department of Psychology. We have a list of 12 counselors who have been who are from different departments. So we have the phone numbers, the timings when those counselors, professional counselors, trained counselors are available. So and the phone numbers. So anyone, be it a faculty, be it a student, be it uh, anyone from the university fraternity can consult, have counseling with these people, with the counselors from the Mizoram University Counseling Cell. So we are very fortunate that we have this service, but many institutions may not have that. But doesn't matter. What I'm sure that in your city, in your state, sorry, in your town, there are counseling services available. So referrals, getting referrals, referring people that you work with or students to those services is one way, is one activity which can be done uh, at your end. Then mental health workshops and trainings. This also is doable. We can ask experts, or we can have resource people from outside of the state or from the university itself. So workshops, trainings, so that stigma, discrimination, and all these other issues and challenges can be addressed, talked about, discussed. And that is what therapy counseling is all about anyway. Then you have peer support structures. Here you have uh, an example could be you have the mentee mentor set up at the university in your institutions. So, and also mentee mentor or buddy system, where buddy system is where people from a department, people from a semester, say for example, now it's the odd semester, first semester and third semester. So in the third semester, one or two or three or maybe more than that could be giving some training on counseling or some basic psychological skills, and they could be the buddy, so that people, the peers in the people in their students in their classes could consult or talk to those people, students who are not willing to talk to teachers or to their mentors or people, but they're more ready to talk to their peers. So this could be set up. The buddy system could be set up in the university, in university or in other institutions. Then adequate resources and support. This also has to be, could be something which is done. Like the Mizoram University Counseling Cell has published or has distributed, disseminated pamphlets, brochures, etc., talking about depression, the signs and symptoms, where to get help, anxiety, and many other students' issues. So those could be some of the resources that could be disseminated and made use of. Then work-life balance, has to do with what we are going to talk about later. Then mental health policies and awareness. This has to be done at the administrative level or at the policy makers, the stakeholders who we are all aware of. So we could uh, put up agendas in the different platforms that are available so that this can be carried forward. So we still have about maybe 25 minutes left. So I think we have plenty of time, and we probably will have time for maybe 5 or 10 minutes of Q&A and discussion. So we come to how to improve your mental health and well-being at work. So now we are going to talk about you and me as a person, as an individual. how to improve. As I said at the beginning of my talk, uh, at the end of the day, it's your decision and it's your life. The youth today, young people today, very uh, uh, talk a lot about or use the phrase, it's my life. It's my life, so I do whatever I want with my life kind of attitude, kind of mindset is very much evident, be it in Mizoram, be it in any of the other states of India, or for that matter, all parts, all the young people, it's my life kind of mindset. So I'll do whatever I want. You have no authority, you have no, etc., etc. That kind of mindset together in this new millennia is something, is a very big issue and challenge that are being faced by authorities, that are being faced by politicians, that parents, teachers all over the world. Anyway, so if that is so, then you as the person, as a teacher, you as an instructor, you as a person in authority, you as a parent, well, how are you going to deal with it? The first step, or the first thing that you need to do before you jump into the fire, so to say, is to first improve your mental health. First, look at yourself and then go on from there. Because if you are a mentally unhealthy person, I'm not talking about being diagnosed with schizophrenia, depression, or any of the mental illnesses or diseases, but how are you? Are you a mentally healthy person? Do you have well-being? Are you satisfied with life? And so on and so forth. We cannot be satisfied 24/7, right? There are times when you're sad, when you feel rejected, you feel depressed, you feel anxious, things are not going how you expected them to go. It's not going your way, it's not your day. And we all know what a bad hair day is, right? You get up in the morning and your hair is all over the place and you have to rush to work. So what do you do? Fortunately, there are gels, there are creams, there are hairsprays, so somehow you deal with that. But you cannot deal with a hairspray or a gel or a cream with regards to your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, right? So we need to be mentally healthy so that we can deal with the issues and challenges that life throws at us, right? So now this section of the talk will be how to improve your mental health as an individual, mental health and well-being as an individual within your family and also in your workplace. Okay. So if you look at this slide, very easy to say, right? Avoid morning stress. Understand expectations, avoid conflict, stay organized, be comfortable, forget multitasking, walk at lunch, control perfectionism, right? But the actual implementation or the actual understanding of expectations on myself, on other people, is on me, right? People may tell me so many things, good things, not so good things, and so on. But the actual person who does it is me. And the final, or not the final, and the decision has to be taken by me, that I will try to understand expectations based on the different means and ways, or the different steps that have been uh, said to me or taught to me, or I have listened to at a workshop, at a training, or from people in authority, my boss or my parents, or my teachers, whoever it may be. So, in order for you to understand expectations and to actually live it out to yourself, by yourself, with other people, The decision is in your hands. So we say, oh, I tried to do so, but it's so difficult. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I just want all the participants in this session, on a scale of 1 to 10, uh, please rate yourself on how you think or how you see as how much would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 on understanding expectations in your life. It may be for uh, on yourself or from other people. So if you have rated yourself 1, 2 from other expectations from other people, then you may need to reflect and see, oh, if I have scored, rated myself 1 or 2, then I think I have to relook and see where I have gone wrong or what I need to do so that I will be able to have a more peaceful or to have a more uh, or to understand expectations, what to expect from people. If you have too high an expectation from people around you and those expectations are not met, then you become dejected, you become depressed, you become angry, you become frustrated, and so on. We all know what that means, right? So that is just an example, an elaboration which the second bullet point, stay organized. Very easy to say. If you're a person who is genetically or a very unorganized person, the teacher or anyone in authority or your family member telling you, please stay organized, it's very difficult. So being conscious and accepting the fact that you are an unorganized person and you need to get more organized, you need to organize your life, your work life, your workplace, etc., etc., then you have to consciously do it. And on a scale of 1 to 10, once again, see where you stand. If it's 5, if it's 6, then okay, I'm fine. I don't need to work on stay organized. But if it's a 1 or 2 or even a 3, then oh, I'm very unorganized. I have to work on my organizing my life, my work, and so on and so forth. Be comfortable. Just telling a person, oh, be comfortable, not make much of a difference. We all know what this means, right? Forget multitasking. If you're a person who uh, is a chronic multitasker, then you need to look at yourself, again, rate yourself on the scale of 1 to 10 and see whether you need to work on your multitasking habits or your behavior, and then see what are the pros and the cons, and then go on from there. Walk at lunch, not very difficult. At the same time, the effort, the energy that it takes. Oh, I just had a heavy lunch, so let me just have a cat nap. Just sit, relax, whatever. Control perfectionism. Okay, so and avoid morning stress. What if your spouse, if you're a married person, you had a fight with your spouse the night before? So the next morning, obviously the air will still not be very good, right? So how can you not avoid, or what can you do about it? Avoid one. If someone, your neighbor or your friend calls you up and you tell him, her about the problem the evening before, and then she tells you over the phone, try to avoid morning stress. But the actual situation is such that you cannot just avoid. What are the options that you have so that that scenario, that situation where you had the fight and it's been carried over the next day, the next morning, what are the options you have so that you can reduce it, you can make it better? It's all in your hands at the end of the day. The ball is again in our court. So these are briefly, I will go through what needs to be done at our end. If you tell this to another person and you don't apply it to yourself, if you don't consciously do it to yourself, by yourself, then it doesn't, it's just something which you download or which you have learned at a workshop or a training or whatever. Talk about your feelings. Very easy to say, but to actually practice it, to actually do it to yourself, to people around you, that's what we're talking about. Talk about your feelings, right? We talked about stigma, discrimination, or about mental health and mental health issues and challenges earlier. Okay. So, as I said, you don't go and shout it from the rooftops, right? So, you go and find a person who is a certified, who is a bona fide therapist or a counselor or a psychologist. People that you know have been trained, experienced in that area. Confidentiality, respect, etc., etc. All the necessary ethical considerations will be given priority. That's what you do. Or if you don't have the money, or there's no one in your vicinity, no, these services are not available where you are, then you could talk to a person, your best friend, your auntie, your uncle, your mom, your dad, whoever you know will not go and right after telling them about your problems, will go and tell everyone that they meet on the road. So you know who to talk to, right? Then this is another very important aspect. You feel comfortable with and who will be supportive. And it's in your hands, right? How much you disclose, what you tell that person. So if you find that you can trust this person and that confidentiality will be maintained by this person, then you can tell your deepest, darkest secrets to that person. But before that, you have the choice, or the decision is yours. How much you disclose, what you talk about, and so on and so forth. Then the second one is keep active. Obviously, keep active, right? So regular exercise. When people say regular exercise, immediately the gym culture is there in India and all over the world now. So it's not just going to the gym. You may not have the time for 1.5 hours to go to the gym or etc. You can do a lot of exercise at your own in your own situation. If your workplace is on the second floor, then every day going up and down 2, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. There are many innovative ways. Doesn't Being active or taking exercise does not necessarily means spending money to go to the gym, etc., etc. And keeping active boosts your self-esteem, helps you concentrate, sleep, and look and feel better. Obviously, then these are some examples, some things that you can do at your end by yourself. Okay. Then eat well. Obviously, regular meals plus plenty of water. Okay, it's not going on a crash diet, going and meeting a dietitian, planning your diet, etc., etc. You know what works and what doesn't work. So it's again the ball is in our court, is in your court. Plan for meal times at work, bringing food from home, choosing healthy options when buying lunch. If your department or your school canteen does not offer healthy lunch, then what are the options that you have? You bring lunch from home. If you say, I get up very late in the morning, I don't have time to make lunch, or etc., etc. So you make a lunch, or you prepare some cold food the night before when you have the time, keep it in the freezer and so on. So many options are there, right? So eating well, saying you don't have the time is not excuse. Drink sensibly. If you drink alcohol or etc., etc., drinking water is good. Here we're talking about alcohol and other substances. Okay, so drink moderately and don't drink at work. Okay, keep in touch. Keeping in touch means not a good morning to everyone in all the groups that you belong to or you are a member of, right? But keeping in touch time and time again, not every day. Every day people may not have the, oh, this person is always good morning, and you always have to respond, or she will feel offended. So it may not be that scenario, but keeping in touch. Then work politics, as we all know, uh, is a very, very big challenge all of us face at one point or time in our work life, right? So what we can do is so many things. Options are there. You cannot just say, oh, I dread going to work and feel sorry for yourself. You're not able to concentrate. You're not able to do your work well because of the work politics. But you're not going to be able to change the place of work, right? You're not going to be able to change the colleagues that you're working with, especially if all of you are permanent employees, right? You cannot transfer them. You're not the head of the institution, etc., etc. So what can you do to make at least what are the options rather that you have so that your workplace can be better? Because you cannot change your workplace. You're not in a situation to do that. You cannot change your colleagues. They will be there till your superannuation day, right? So, what are the options that you have if you cannot change it? Or would you prefer to be frustrated, angry, sad, dread going to work on a Friday evening next Monday and spoil your whole weekend just thinking about the dread, feeling frustrated, sad, etc., etc.? Ask for help. Yeah. This is what we talked about at length, so I'll not elaborate on this. None of us are superhuman. We all sometimes get tired or overwhelmed by how we feel or when things don't go to plan. I'm sure that all of us here, me included, obviously, are not superhuman, and we sometimes get tired and overwhelmed by many situations, by many things that's happening around us in our lives. Okay. So, what do we do? Go to the gym, go for window shopping, play music, talk to a friend, paint, do gardening, etc., etc., or ask for help from a professional. But if professional services are not available, then there are many other people I'm sure that you trust, who you know will respect and keep confidentiality, etc., etc. Ask for help. Take a break, right? Take a break, break a leg. 5 minute pause from what you're doing, a book or podcasts during commute. What I personally do, uh, I from my residence to MZU, it takes about half an hour. If there's no traffic jam, it takes about 45 minutes if there is traffic jam in Vivacon and that area. So what I do is I do this Tai Chi, that is the finger exercise, neck exercise, that which is possible sitting at the back of the car, the back seat of the car. So those things like that, so that commute time mm, doesn't appear to be very long, even if there is a traffic jam, or I listen to music, things like that, things which are optional, or another option, or not another option, or what we some people may do, or what I used to do earlier before I discovered this relaxing way of going to work, was get frustrated, keep on looking at the watch. Oh, that person, she should drive a better way, or this traffic police is so inefficient, and get frustrated, angry, and get all perplexed kind of situation, right? And that helps no one, you most of all. Do something you're good at, okay? Learning to appreciate, uh, learning to appreciate yourself is one of the key factors, very, very important factors for good mental health. What do you love doing? What activities can you lose yourself in? What did you love doing in the past? Enjoying yourself can help beat stress. Doing an activity you enjoy probably means you're good at it, and achieving something boosts your self-esteem. If I ask you, if this is an interactive session where you're not muted, then what are you good at? What are you not so good at? What is the best thing about yourself? Learn to appreciate yourself. It's not being prideful, it's not being proud. People will not make fun of you. But if you keep on saying day in and day out to your colleagues, to in your place of work, oh, I'm so good at this, I do that, brag, boast, etc. That's not what we're talking about, but learning to appreciate yourself, feel good about yourself, talking about your achievements, not day in and day out, obviously, not every day, but that is not being boastful, that is not being blowing your own trumpet, so to say, and that is not uh, uh, yeah, not blowing your own trumpet. People will, that will really help you, right? Accept who you are, right? Very, very difficult, but it is something that you and I need to do day in every day of our lives, most of the days of our lives. Who I am. If, say, for example, young people of today, especially with this halo effect, the Korean culture effect, they think they're Koreans, they think they're so someone they're not, and the backlash is hurtful, is that bad mental health and many other issues and challenges. So accept who you are. Be proud of who you are. Recognize and accept the things you may not be good at, but also focus on what you can do well. Appreciating yourself. even though I may not be 5'10", I may not be 6'1", I may not have a good physique, at least I have good complexion, I have good hair, I'm good in academics, I'm good in this, I'm good in that, even if I'm not so good as my friend or other people around me, right? Self-acceptance and self-care can be very hard when you have a mental health problem, and it's an ongoing challenge. If we have a mental health problem, if you're having problems with your spouse, you're having problems with your colleagues, etc., etc. But if you do it from your end, no one is going to do it for you. You need to rate yourself and see what are you need to work on, what are the skills that you need to develop. Especially maybe you lack, you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 on communication skills. You are 1 or 2, you rate yourself 1 or 2. So you realize from that scale, from that self-awareness exercise activity, that your communication skills is not very good. So you can develop the skills, you can learn the skills, right? There are very many help, do it yourself uh, trainings online, as well as other uh, workshops, trainings that you could attend, and so on and so forth. Downloadable, also attending. Care for others, right? Obviously, no man is an island, and we are from a collectivist culture where society, me above, uh, others above myself. Okay. But at the same time, if you put others too much before yourself, then that is not mentally healthy. So you need to balance it out. You need to balance your life. You need to balance everything around you, your situation, your workplace, your life, your relationships, and so on and so forth, caring for others, right? So those are the 10 do it for yourself steps that you can consciously start doing from today, or maybe I'll start doing it from next week. Or you may say that, oh, I've been doing this all my life. I don't need to be told, I don't need to do it again. But if you are feeling depressed, sad, angry, work politics is interfering with you reaching your full potential, not able to do things, your relationship with your family members, with your spouse, with whoever is around you, then you probably need to consciously go back to these 10 steps that has just been highlighted here in this session. And if you do it consciously, if you follow step by step, or at least consciously try to do these steps, then you may find that your life is becoming more mentally healthy. Eat well. Very easy. It's not rocket science, right? Very easy things that you've been doing all your life, but not consciously or not intentionally, but being conscious and doing it intentionally to improve your mental health is your responsibility, is the option that you may want to take, right? So I've come to the end of this session. The time now is 12:57. So we have about probably 10 minutes uh, for the, less than 10 minutes actually, for the Q&A and so on. So I give the back to Professor Bartindu for the
Madam, there
Q&A
are
and,
two, three questions in Q&A
okay.
box.
Mm,
Will you access it or I
okay.
should read it?
I'll read, yeah, I
Okay.
can.
So it is in Q&A.
Okay. Is perfectionism a mental issue? Okay. Uh, Extreme perfectionism is a mental issue. So I'll not elaborate. If you want some more detailed explanation and information, you can always look it up. Okay. Then, if people with OCD, that's obsessive compulsive disorder, often produce high quality work and meet deadlines, how can OCD still interfere with their mental health and overall well being? One of the symptoms of OCD, that's obsessive compulsive disorder, uh, is being a perfectionist, and also obviously being perfectionist, they produce very high quality works, but there are many other symptoms of OCD which interferes with their mental health. Say, for example, if you are a perfectionist, you're not able to relate, you're not able to have relationships with people who you see as inferior, who are not up to the mark. That kind of mindset, that kind can interfere with your mental health and your overall well-being. So that again, if you want more detailed explanation or answer, you can please look it up. Okay, OCD, which stands for, as I said, the full form is obsessive compulsive disorder, which is one of the major mental illnesses and diseases. WHO has, the second question is, WHO has elaborated guidelines on mental health, but don't you feel, but Panda, yes, uh, that is very much so. I mentioned West Bengal, because not in the context of bad mental health or mental ill health at work. It's just an example of where trade unionism and other politics are too much in the workplace or in the workforce, and that interferes with the development of the state or of the country pan India. Okay, so I was just giving it as an example because that's the first example that came to mind. So it happens everywhere in the world, not just in India, in Mizoram, in West Bengal, but all over the world. So, and has Ayushman Bharat been Ayushman Bharat is still in the early stages, so let's see how it has made improvement. Maybe if the same question was asked uh, in 6 months' time or in a year's time, we could say we could have some insight or some idea whether it has brought improvement in the scenario. How to improve work-life balance in organizational life? Well, that would take a whole day or maybe half a day, right? So, as I said, what we can do is there are a lot of information, there are a lot of uh, platforms, there are a lot of agencies, avenues that will be able to get the information from. And the most important is not because you and I could download or read or attend workshops, trainings, etc., etc. We could all do that. But the responsibility, the ball is in your court. The ball is in my court. If I don't do it, I have all this information on how to, what to do. I have a good vision or a roadmap. If I don't actually apply it to myself, if I don't actually take that extra step or walk that extra mile, it's not going to make any difference in my life. So the decision is in your hands. If you feel that, oh, I have this issue, that challenge, and I need to do something about it, and you could start rating yourself on the scale of 1 to 10 on the issue of maybe work politics, where you stand, what are the issues and challenges, make a point, make a conscious effort to see what are the options, how you could change it, at least at your end. You may not be able to change your work scenario or environment, but for yourself. I don't know whether that answers the questions, but that's the best I can do. Yeah.
So, madam, we had only these three questions.
Okay.
And in chat box, our participants are praising your presentation.
Mm.
So thanks for making it very lively and very informative for the participants. And thank you, ma'am, for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Professor Bartendu, for this privilege and invitation. So all the best to all the participants of the refresher course. So I hope that this session has been a little bit a drop in the ocean, so to say. I wish you all and give you greetings for a happy, prosperous, mentally healthy workplace and work life. All the best.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. So, dear friends, now we'll take a break of half an hour. We'll reassemble at 1:30. So, do join at 1:30, and we'll be having two more sessions. At 1:30, we'll be having Professor Giri Babu. He is Head Department of Economics, Mizoram University. And at 3, we will be having another session from Professor N. Rokendra Singh. He is Head Department of Commerce in Mizoram University. So, do join at 1:30, and thank you.